Thank you, Mr. President.
This was a powerful moment. In the East Room of the White House, 3 world leaders signed a framework for peace.
The Camp David Conference should be renamed. It was the Jimmy Carter Conference.
Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin and Egyptian President Mohammed Anwar al-Sadat, all smiles. They even embraced. But it wasn't always clear that this moment would even happen.
We thought it could be done, but we weren't sure.
This is William Quandt. He was on the National Security Council for Carter.
I'm here. Had a little more hair in those days.
And was there all 13 days of the Camp David Accords. He even prepped the briefing book for Carter before it all began.
He says, I've read your book, and I disagree with it. So we'd worked really hard on this, and so the last thing you want to hear is that the guy's actually read it and he disagrees with it. He says, you make it sound like this is going to really be difficult.
Carter, ever the optimist, was hoping that they'd have a framework decided in a matter of days. But after the first big meeting between Sadat and Begin, the tone shifted.
And he called us all in after and he said, it's not going well. Begin and Sadat were literally shouting at one another. I had to calm them down.
In fact, from that moment on, they kept the 2 world leaders apart from each other, going through 23 drafts in 13 days, focused on finding a solution.
Once we got down to business, nobody left, nobody had cell phones, nobody could communicate with the outside world. Different than today.
In fact, Quandt says that it almost fell apart late in the second week of negotiations when Sadat tried to leave. Carter confronted him, saying that this would end their personal relationship.
In other words, you're telling me I have no choice but to stay. And he said, that's right. You have to stay. And he said, okay, but I'm not going to deal with that man, that is Begin. You get the best agreement you can for me, and you tell me when you've got it. So he put all of his cards into Carter's hands. I thought that was an amazing moment.
But even on the final day of the Accords, nobody was completely sure that the world leaders would sign. In the end, though,
My friend President Sadat and I signed the peace treaties.
a landmark accord was sketched into history, a moment that Quandt says he'll never forget.
This was central to who I am today.
In Washington, D.C., I'm Evan Koslof.